Okay. So we are at week 12. And during week 12, we have your career research project is due this week. I set the due date to May 3rd to give you extra time, but you should technically deliver it this week. Do you guys have any questions about the career research project that's due this week?
If we send it in like on Sunday, that is that okay?
Yes, fine. Technically, the due date is May 3rd, which is next week Saturday. But I'm saying is due this week because it's posted in the week 12 content folder. So if you go to content, you click on week 12 on the left-hand side, you'll see the career project submission. That's where you can actually physically submit the process. So this one, I set it for, no, I actually set the due date for April 27th, which is Sunday. So no, I'm wrong. So the due date is this Sunday. You can make the submission after due date. Just make sure you submit it under the week 12 folder. So are we clear on what to do? Do you have any questions about it, or you know everyone knows what's going on, what to do, how to do it?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. So it really shouldn't take more than an hour to do it, maybe 2 hours if you're slow. Just pick a career, download, find a resume in that career. All the answers will be on that person's professional resume, and you can go ahead and just submit it via week 12. If you don't know an answer, don't stress yourself too much. Just put the best answer to your knowledge. If you're not sure what to say or do, just, it doesn't have to be exact. So we are so once you submit your week 12 assignment, the career project submission, week 15, you're going to submit the presentation. So you're going to take the information you did that you're going to submit week 12 this week, and you're going to then I'll take that information, turn it into a PowerPoint presentation. PowerPoint is a Microsoft Office application. It's on every single computer and BMCC campus. Um, you could also use Google has a free version as well. I forgot what it's called. Um, but PowerPoint, you just make some slides, like you make a slideshow. It's pretty easy. Type in some information, you can throw some pictures in if you want. Uh, take the information from your career project submission assignment, put into a slideshow, make it however many slides you think is necessary, save that PowerPoint file, upload that PowerPoint file under week 15. So week 15, you will see the career presentation submission and submit that presentation. I will go more into the presentation next week. So I'll go more into PowerPoint, Zoom. I'll go more into it during next week. So we'll come to a conclusion next week on how you as a class, if you want to record yourself doing a video, if you want to meet week 15, either online or in person, and do your presentation. I'll let you guys make the decision how you want to do that um, next week, but we'll focus on that next week. You guys have any questions on the presentation? Any, do you, are we clear, roughly clear, or do you guys have any questions on that? If you have questions, now's the time to ask.
Um, can we use Google Slides?
Yep, yep. You can use
Written it down.
Google Slides. When you file save as the Google Slides, you can save as PowerPoint. So you could work in Google Slides, which is free, and then you could actually save the file as a PowerPoint presentation. And then you can
Thank you.
upload the PowerPoint presentation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Um, because slides is free. You could do slides at home. Google Slides is free to use. PowerPoint is Microsoft Office. You can use Microsoft Office at any school computer. It really shouldn't take you more than, maybe 15, 20 minutes, half an hour. If you don't know how to use PowerPoint, maybe you might bumble around with it for a little bit. Uh, but it's pretty easy to just take the data from your presentation, sorry, from your submission, your career write-up, and just plug it into PowerPoint slides or Google Slides. And, make a couple of pages of couple of slides of presentation. You can use pictures if you want. You don't have to use pictures. It's up to you. Change the background, save it, upload it. But we do have to present it. So presenting it is either going to be done virtually. So you could either record yourself. Um, you could record yourself doing the video. So you can so like, hey, you see how we are physically in the Zoom room right now. So since everyone here has Zoom, you can open up your own. You could just open up the app. You don't have to jump into this room. This is my room. If you have an account with Zoom, you can make your own account. You have your own account, which you do. You have your own Zoom room number. You can jump into your own Zoom room by yourself, and then you could do what's called share screen. And you'll see at the bottom the share screen. And you could actually share your own presentation slide. It'll grab the file, it'll physically show the file on the screen. That's literally what I do is I just like I'm actually going to share and I click little green share. It brings up my desktop. It shows all the files that I have open on my desktop. I click a file, I hit share, and then you can see my application. So that's the same thing. This what we're looking at now is an actual PowerPoint presentation. So you make your own PowerPoint presentation, you screen share yourself in your own room, and then you just hit record, which is what I do. It's usually under there's three dots that say more, and you hit record, and it starts to just record, and then you just make your presentation. Then when you're done making your presentation, you hit stop recording, and then what'll happen is that there's a folder on your computer called Zoom, and it will save that recording. It's called video. It'll save that video recording to Zoom. And then you could just click on it and you could watch the video you just recorded. Now, if you guys have your own software, if you want to use your cell phone, record yourself, take the video, upload it to YouTube, whatever you want, right? Guys can do whatever you want, right? You want to record yourself with your phone, making the presentation, upload it to YouTube, post the link as a submission file. It's up to you, right? I'm just showing you that you can use Zoom. We're on Zoom. You have your own Zoom room. You could talk, record, share a file, a share screen, and save the video. So uh, most students prefer to do the presentation that way because they could do it at home and then they upload the presentation to week 15 and that's it. Okay, so this is the wrong chapter, guys. Let me pull up the right chapter. This is chapter 13. So this is wrong. Hold on. Do you guys have any questions on that, or you're clear with what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Okay. So chapter 14 is about developing and pricing goods and services. So if you go into a store and you see a product in the store window, or maybe you go into a restaurant or you go to a food truck and you look at the prices, you might say, "Oh, how come the burger is $10? Or how come the burger is $12? Or how come you go into a Five Guys and you're like, I just bought fries, a drink, and a burger, and it's like 20 something dollars, right? And you're wondering, why is this so expensive? What's going on? Now, I'm not talking about why things are more expensive because we did touch on inflation a little bit prior. What I'm talking about, though, is pricing, value. So, do any of you guys own something like a high-end luxury item, like a Louis Vuitton or something like that? The answer is probably no, right? Do you guys know how much a Louis Vuitton bag is? The women in the class in the last class definitely knew. Do any of you guys
Thousands of dollars, right?
thousand? It's like about $3,000, $4,000. Depends on the bag. Could be 6,000. So, how much do you think it costs them to make a Louis Vuitton bag?
Like $100.
Yeah, right. So there's this guy on YouTube, or he has his own blog or video, whatever, and he's like a leather worker, craftsman. So he buys like designer bags, designer stuff, expensive stuff, and he cuts it apart. So he cuts and chops up the shoes, he cuts and chops up the bag. He pulls the stitching out. He essentially deconstructs the entire bag from scratch, and then he goes over the pricing of the material, the raw goods and materials, and then the labor. And he goes into the stitching and all that. And he says, "Oh, this type of stitch is this. This type of this is that. This costs this. This costs that." And he'll break down like a very expensive bag. He'll take a Birkin bag and break it down. And he'll be like, "Oh, you this bag's X amount of $1,000." And he'll be like, "It's $120 worth of leather and raw materials." And that's at retail, right? That's his cost. He's not buying it. It's not like a large multinational companies buying, you know, tons of leather, tons of leather, 100 tons of leather, and you get a bulk discount on the leather. I don't know how much leather they're buying, but they're buying a lot of leather. He's talking about his costs, right? So you see a $1,000 bag and it's a couple of $100 of leather. Why is that? Why would why are people paying three
The
thousand
name value
dollars
of the brand.
to buy the brand? But what's that mean? What does that mean? What does the value of a brand mean? Is perception, quality? Are consumers just ignorant and don't understand anything?
Like the appearance of a higher class.
Okay, so there's appearance, so there's also status, appearance, right? So the product itself may not really be worth what it's worth. Maybe it's a collectible or something like Rolex. How many people here would like a Rolex? Rolex watches are very expensive. They're collectibles. They tend to appreciate in value. But why is that? So Rolex deliberately does not mass produce a lot of their product. They deliberately underproduce their product on purpose. They do that to create a sense of scarcity, that their product is limited edition, is hard to get, is difficult to obtain. You have to be on a waiting list to get a Rolex product. Do you think that they are doing that on purpose, or do you think it's really hard for them to make their product?
They're definitely doing it on purpose.
All right. So why do people buy it then? Right. So the perception is that they release a product, is limited edition, is rare. So because it's not a lot of it, it's hard to get. And because it's hard to get, that means that you are buying a rare luxury item, right? And that's not to say that that the product is not a well-made product. That's not to say that the product isn't, exceptional quality. Uh, but could they, mass produce the product? Of course. But if they mass produce the product, then what would happen to the product? It would lose value in the perception of the buyers because it's no longer rare, supposedly, right? But then what does that mean? So a lot of the false sense of scarcity is artificially created, and a lot of the ideas of luxury brands and goods, yes, the luxury products are higher end. They're better made, better stitching, better material, better quality, sometimes better durability, depends on the product, depends on the the material. It is a better made product, no question about it. The luxury goods are superior products, but is it a $3,000 handbag? But it's $100 of leather, right? 120, $220 of leather. Is a Rolex worth 4 or 5 grand if they're deliberately not mass producing them to make them scarce? And is a prior year's Rolex really worth money because they just didn't produce enough of them on purpose because they didn't want to? And the same could be said about collectible cards, sports cards, trading cards. They're artificially printed to a certain capacity to create scarcity. You got videos of guys beating each other up in a Costco over Pokemon cards. Why? It's cardboard, right? It's mass-produced cardboard, but it's a collectible item that's being manufactured in limited quantities, in limited production, which then causes people to scalp the product, so on and so forth, blah blah blah, or oversell it. So value, price, product development, product offering. A lot of time the price is not always consistent with the value of what you're getting, and it's not always consistent with the actual cost of the product or profitability. Now, if we go to McDonald's, McDonald's makes a couple of cents in their burgers and fries and their drinks. They don't make a lot of money. But guess what? They sell billions of burgers globally, daily, all the time, every time. So from a mass production standpoint, they're making billions of dollars on a product that they're selling billions of times over and over and over, and they're making cents on the dollar each sale because they're selling you a lot of stuff, right? It's mass production, mass volume. So sometimes value is not always consistent with let's manufacture artificial value, let's create brand value, let's create scarcity value. Sometimes the value is, wow, this is a cheap burger and it tastes good. I want it. I can afford it. It's easy and quick to get. And you just sell a whole bunch of them. But how much should McDonald's charge? So the question is, should Rolex sell more watches because they can make more money? What do you guys think? No thoughts on it? If Rolex can sell more watches, sure, they'd make more money, but would that hurt their brand?
Well, they would become less valuable, right?
So is that an important part of their brand, the collectability?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So they're kind of stuck, right? They can't do more. They can maybe charge more for their product and make it more rare and scarce, right? Versus selling more and devaluing or liquidating the value of the brand. What about same thing with so let's use a counter argument, right? Maserati, Mercedes, uh, these are luxury car brands. They used to have only the high end brands, and they came out with lower and middle tier models. So you can drive a Mercedes and drive a lower tier Mercedes that's less expensive. Guess what? People love to buy the lower tier Mercedes. You know why? Because they like the idea of driving Mercedes. But it's a lower tier car. You could just buy a Toyota Corolla, a Toyota Camry or something. But it's the luxury, it's the brand. Same thing with the Maserati. Maserati was a luxury sports car. Uh, and they released a consumer version that's more within affordability reach, and people are buying it because they want to drive a Maserati. So in that situation, did they do good or bad? Did they lower their brand, or did they capture a market share that was hungry but couldn't afford it, and now they made a whole ton of money? So it depends, right? So Mercedes, BMW, a lot of car manufacturers made more, not entry level cars, but more affordable cars, and people gobbled them up, right? Because they wanted the brand. So sometimes it makes sense to do that offering, and sometimes it doesn't make sense because it could hurt your brand, could hurt your value. So value sometimes is arbitrary, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's something you create. It's an image. How do you create that image, right? So uh, the other thing to take in consideration is just as a business owner, what do I charge? If I set up a brick and mortar sandwich shop, or if I made a one of those things you drive around, a mobile food truck, what do I charge for my food? I don't know, right? So you have to figure out, well, what do I charge? So there's the product offering. Here's an example of components of the total product offering. One thing they can take into consideration is the actual cost to create the product, right? What's it costing me to manufacture it? What is it costing me to make it, to buy all the parts and pieces, to cook it, to serve it, the gas, the lights, the person flipping the burger, or whatever it is, all that stuff costs money. What's the cost for the burger? Now, how much do I charge extra for profit? What type of profit margin am I looking for? 17%, 25%. How much money do I want to make off that burger? What can I get away with? What are people willing to pay, to charge? What can I charge? So then you might be looking at other competitors. What are they charging? Then you're looking at your rent, right? How much is my rent? Because that's going to cost me money. To have a food truck, what's the expenses for managing and maintaining my food truck? You know, because that's where you're operating. So those things come into play, which are affecting the price of your product. Now, if you're the hot sandwich place or the hot whatever, then you could probably charge more because, oh, our place is hot. People like it. It's good. It tastes good. It's popular. It's popping. So if it's the hot spot, then I could charge more. Maybe. Got to taste good though, right? So those things play a role. All right. So so as you go through the chapter, they break down different types of classes of goods, services, a lot of things I just spoke to you about. You could frame them using the definitions and framework that we discussed, categories, things of that sort. But what I'm telling you guys though is, you're in a position where uh, things are the quality of the things that you are using are, I've complained about this before. The quality of the things that are being produced today are worse. Lower quality, less durability, more expensive. Furniture is a big one. Clothing, everything is downgrading in quality. Food, terribly downgrading quality. Foods, they feed you. The quality of food today is far worse than it was in the past. But it's more expensive, right? So where's the value? You go back in time 60, 70 years ago, and you bought a Kit Kat or a Snickers, right, in the 60s, big, huge chocolate bar was significantly cheaper than what it is now. Peanuts, real caramel. You could read the ingredients and say, "Oh, I could read and understand the ingredients." Now you get to see a Snickers or whatever. It's a little tiny ass bar. Has got a zillion ingredients and all this artificial garbage in there. And it's way more expensive. And this has been going on. This is inflation. It's called shrinkflation, and also the inflation of pricing and the deflation of product quality. That's where we're headed the next 20, 30 years, is this continual deflation, devaluing, because products are being provided to the working class American, and in many cases the middle class American, and their salaries and wages are not appropriately increasing in relationship to the cost of asset prices, to in relationship to inflation. So businesses are always trying to push profits. So because they want more profits, but you are too broke to buy it, they cut back on the quality to offset that. So you've had this continuing shrinkflation of product quality, product value, and increase in price to maintain profits because of the inherent inflationary characteristic in our economic system. So when you're looking at things, do your research. It's healthy to be a little skeptical, but not paranoid. Skepticism should be tempered in research and discovery and knowledge. It shouldn't just be in paranoia. All right. So part of the benefit of being a student in college is teaching you how to do research. It's teaching you how to educate yourself, how to find answers, search for answers, and make sense of answers, because that's what you're going to need in the future. As things get worse, you're going to need to understand that. You can't even watch a video. You're wondering, is that AI? Is that real or fake? You could be watching a war unfold and not even know what parts of it are real, what parts of it are fake, because of how technology is advancing. So I'll leave you guys with this message, and I'll end the class today. And I'll see you guys next week, and we'll go over more in detail about the upcoming project, the second part of it. If you have any questions, just shoot me an email. Take care, everybody.